By the end of the 1970s, Iran and Iraq eyed each other warily, and they would soon come to blows in what was known as the Iran-Iraq War. Iraq's leader was Saddam Hussein. You may have heard of him. Saddam wanted to be the undisputed big dog in the region. He wanted control of the Shatt al-Arab waterway, the watery border between Iran and Iraq. Shatt al-Arab was where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers came together. It had been disputed territory for centuries, and it was Iraq's only access point to the waters of the Persian Gulf. Saddam, a Sunni Muslim, also wanted to put a check on the Shiite Muslim majority in his own nation. Iraqi Shiites had been feeling empowered by the Shiite-led revolution across the border in Iran. On September 22, 1980, whammo. Iraq took Iran by surprise and invaded the Iranian province of Khuzestan. Within the month, Iraq had captured the Iranian city of Khorramshahr. Saddam thought he could capitalize on the confusion of Iran's recent revolution. Many of Iran's military leaders had been purged during the upheaval. Plus, Iran was feeling isolated by the international community. Keep in mind, Iran was still in possession of 52 American hostages taken the year before. They were nobody's friend, but the plan backfired. By attacking Iran, Saddam helped unify the nation against a common enemy, himself. Iran halted the invading Iraqis and then counterattacked. The Iraqis had to cede ground, and by 1982, Iran had recaptured Khorramshahr. And then, Iran kept pushing. Iraq was on the defensive and wanted to end the war it had started. But Iran's leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, wasn't all that interested in peace. He wanted to overthrow Saddam. And Iran thought it could strike a major blow by capturing the Iraqi port city of Basra. Iran had the demographic advantage. It outnumbered Iraq 3-1. Iraq, on the other hand, had access to more sophisticated weaponry and a larger and highly trained officer corps. These relative strengths canceled each other out, resulting in a stalemate. For the next 6 years, Iran waged war against Iraq using a numerically strong, technologically weak army. Often, this meant pitting inexperienced soldiers against Iraq's high-powered weaponry. Again and again, Iran was repelled. The loss of life was tremendous. By 1988, the war was wearing thin on the demoralized Iranians, with little to show after years of fighting. In April of that year, Iraq went on the offensive, using ground forces and gaining territory yet again. Iran said, "Okay, we've had enough." In July of 1988, Iran and Iraq accepted a peace agreement brokered by the United Nations. Security Council Resolution 598 called for a ceasefire, and by the end of the month, the war was over. The Iran-Iraq War was unique among late 20th century conflicts. Chemical weapons were used extensively, especially by Iraq. Civilian populations were bombed freely and frequently, and both sides attacked each other's oil shipments, even if those tankers belonged to other countries. What began as a play for regional supremacy turned into a lengthy and bitter 8-year conflict. Neither side gained very much, but both lost plenty. Over 1 million soldiers were killed during the war, with hundreds of thousands permanently wounded. Despite the human toll and financial cost, the Iran-Iraq War taught few lessons. 2 years later, Saddam Hussein would take his nation to war again, this time invading his neighbor, Kuwait, which prompted the first Gulf War and more bloodshed.
Young people in large numbers came out and joined what became known as the Red Guards. These largely terroristic organizations were used to publicly humiliate, assault, and in some cases, even murder political enemies of Mao and the Communist Party.